See, Will, I would make the argument that Ohio State has much better wins than Alabama, and I think that's their path to the college football playoff. If the playoff committee's thinking like I do, they've got the worst loss by far, no question, 55 points given up at Iowa. But I think while everyone's making that argument in Alabama's corner, if you flip the script, if you're going to give credit or discredit for blowout losses against marginal teams, then you have to flip the script and say, well, Alabama didn't impress against, let's say, LSU, and they barely slipped by Mississippi State. Well, the LSU and Mississippi State's on Ohio State's schedule is Michigan State, Michigan. Alabama didn't beat that good of a team, a 15th ranked team, 48-3. And also Penn State's better than, by the rankings, by the record, any win on Alabama's schedule. So I'm just trying to even that argument out, because I keep hearing about the bad loss being played against Alabama's resume, but I don't think Ohio State's given credit for better wins and more impressive wins against good teams than what Alabama's got.
I think, to me, and I've said this several times this week, we've never seen this in college football. There's 8 teams. If we had an 18 playoff this year, there's 8. Generally, you can't say that. Usually, you go, okay, there's 2 teams. Maybe there's 3. Very rarely is there a 4th team that you can go, okay, if they were in a playoff, we don't know who would win. Because generally, you have 2 or 3 teams that really, really separate themselves from the rest of the pack. You don't have that this year. And really, I think you have 7. You can throw Miami in there as 8, but Miami seems down right now. But, man, I think you'll look all the way back there, and you can really get wacky and throw Penn State in there. And I'm not a Southern Cal fan, but you can throw Southern Cal in there, Oklahoma State if you really want. Going back to your point, trying to do resumes and figure everything out, I think the parity this year is as good as we've ever seen.
Yeah, because we're going to have a 2-loss team in there at some point. Maybe not this year, but at some point, because I keep hearing people say there shouldn't be a 2-loss team in the college football playoff. Well, it's going to happen. It is going to happen. Yeah. USC tonight against Stanford. They played Washington last year in the regular season. Anyway, Stanford and USC in the Pac-12 championship game. That's a rematch. Trojans dominated the first time around, but Stanford with a different quarterback, KJ Costello, in play.
Yeah, Costello, Bryce Love really, really heated up. And, that was at Southern Cal early in the season when Southern Cal, I thought as more film got out on Southern Cal, they became easier to defend. We'll see tonight. I think I've got Stanford winning this game. I don't have a whole lot of confidence in that, to be honest with you. It's the least confident of any of the 5 championship games. But Southern Cal has got to step up in this game if they want to stay in the hunt. Or they're not in the hunt. I don't know why I said that. But if they want to, to me, move that program forward, they need to win this game tonight, claim themselves a Pac-12 championship. I don't think they do. I think Stanford does it.
I love the conference championships. Unfortunately, they've been devalued by the playoff. That'll be a good game tonight, I think. So you've got in the other conferences discounting the Pac-12 because they're probably out of it. You've got Ohio State, Auburn, Clemson, and Oklahoma winning. So who gets into the playoff and who should get into the playoff? So predict what the committee's going to do, but also what do you think should happen based on your results?
Yeah. Well, let's start with the prediction of what I think happens. I think Clemson, Auburn, it's kind of a loaded question because what I think is going to happen is what I would put in there. Okay. I think Clemson wins, as you mentioned. Ohio State wins. I think that Oklahoma wins. So what that immediately does is put Clemson and Oklahoma in. Auburn wins, they're in. So there's 3 spots. Then Ohio State wins. I go Alabama. I think Alabama's sitting there. I don't know how you can penalize Alabama for losing. I agree with what you said about the wins. Penalizing Alabama lost once this year. Ohio State lost twice. To me, I don't know where conference championships rank in this matter. We saw last year Ohio State did not win the Big Ten championship. Penn State did. Penn State beat them head-to-head, and Ohio State still went and got in. To me, mine would be Clemson at 1. I'd actually probably have Auburn at 1. I think Auburn's playing better. If I go eyeball test, I think Auburn's playing better than anybody else in the country. They won't do it because you won't have a rematch in the first round. But I'd have Auburn at 1, Clemson at 2, Oklahoma at 3. I think on Sunday afternoon we'll see Clemson at 1, Auburn at 2, Oklahoma at 3, and Alabama at 4. So you'll have Clemson and Alabama, Auburn and Oklahoma.
Based on what the committee did last year, I think Alabama's in the playoff if Ohio State wins the Big Ten championship. They're going to look at the Auburn loss not being that bad, especially on the road, versus the Ohio State losses. And in a sense, I have no issue with that. A one-loss team versus a two-loss team. And they set the precedent last year, as you explained. I think what should have happened was Penn State, as I stated on a tirade a number of times last year, won the conference championship, beat Ohio State. They should be in the playoff, should have been in the playoff last year. Therefore, I believe the conference championship means something, and Ohio State should be in this year if they beat Wisconsin. But I believe Alabama is going to get selected. The other thing that Ohio State, I would say, had last year over Alabama this year is they beat a top 5 team in Oklahoma on the road out of conference.
True. That's a good point.
Will Gunter, the all-new early game, 107.5 The Game, stopping by to talk South Carolina and the nation. Will, we know you got a lot going on, so we appreciate you stopping by.
Always glad to do it, man. Hope you have a great start. December's here. Crazy to think that. Christmas right around the corner. Hope you got your shopping done.